Imagine standing in Paris in 1887, looking at an empty field, knowing that in just over 2 years, the tallest structure on Earth will rise right here. Today, we're doing exactly that. We're witnessing the construction of the Eiffel Tower from the very first foundation dig to the flag raised at its peak. Not the iconic monument we know today, but the controversial, radical, seemingly impossible engineering project that shocked the world. Using advanced AI, we've reconstructed the entire construction process from original blueprints, construction photographs, engineering records, and eyewitness accounts, transforming them into an immersive journey through one of history's greatest building achievements. Picture this: workers digging foundations in waterlogged ground using compressed air chambers, massive iron pieces being riveted together with perfect precision, hundreds of feet in the air, an entire tower rising in just 2 years, 2 months and 5 days, faster than anyone thought possible. And controversy, fury, artists and intellectuals calling it a monstrosity that will destroy Paris. This is the story of how the Eiffel Tower was actually built, the real engineering, the real risks, the real revolution in construction that changed architecture forever. If you stay until the end, we'll show you how this temporary tower that was supposed to be demolished became the symbol of Paris itself. Let's watch the impossible being built. So we're standing on the Champ de Mars in Paris, January 1887. It's a large open field used for military exercises and exhibitions. The ground is flat, muddy from winter rain. The Seine River flows nearby. This is where the Eiffel Tower will rise. Look at the plans spread on a table in a construction shed. The tower will be 300 meters tall, 984 feet. Nothing has ever been built this high. The tallest structure in the world is currently the Washington Monument at 555 feet. This will be almost twice that height. The design is revolutionary, not stone or brick, but puddled iron, wrought iron refined through a special process that makes it strong and resistant to weathering. Not solid, but lattice. A framework of iron pieces bolted and riveted together, creating strength through geometry rather than mass. Many people think it's impossible. Some think it's insane. But on January 28, 1887, construction begins. The first challenge: foundations. Look at the site. The tower will have 4 massive legs. Each leg needs a foundation to support enormous weight. But the ground here presents different challenges depending on location. Watch the excavation begin. 4 separate foundation pits, each one massive, about 16 meters deep. The 2 foundations on the park side, away from the Seine, are relatively straightforward. The excavation reaches a good layer of compacted gravel and sand, about 23 feet down. This is solid ground for building, but the 2 foundations closest to the Seine, the north and west legs, face a different problem. Look, water seeping into the excavation. The water table is high here. Dig deeper and groundwater floods in. For these riverside foundations, traditional methods won't work. The solution: compressed air caissons. Watch how this works. Large watertight iron chambers, caissons, are constructed. Each caisson is 15 meters long and 6 meters wide. The caissons are positioned over the excavation site. Compressed air is pumped in, creating pressure that pushes water out through the open bottom. Workers enter through an airlock, a sealed chamber that allows them to pass in and out while maintaining air pressure inside. Inside the caisson, men work in this pressurized environment, digging out mud, sand, and rock. The caisson slowly sinks as material is removed from beneath it. Think about working in this environment. The air pressure makes your ears pop constantly. Breathing is difficult. The space is cramped, lit only by oil lamps. Water constantly threatens to flood in if the air pressure drops. The men work in limited shifts. They can't stay down long before the pressure becomes dangerous. As the caissons sink deeper, down to 22 meters below the surface, about 16 feet below the Seine's water level, concrete is poured on top, creating the foundation mass. The work takes months. The foundations are finally completed on June 30th, 1887, 5 months after excavation began. Each foundation now consists of massive concrete blocks sitting on bedrock or compacted gravel. On top of each block sits a stone slab cut at an angle to match the tower leg's slope. The 4 foundations must be perfectly level with each other and precisely positioned according to the plans. Any error will throw off the entire tower. Surveyors check and recheck. The positioning is exact. July 1st, 1887. Now the real construction begins. Look at the iron pieces arriving at the construction site. They come from workshops at Levallois-Perret on the outskirts of Paris. This is the secret to the tower's rapid construction, prefabrication. Every piece was fabricated in the workshop to exact specifications. Each of the 18,038 individual pieces is unique. Watch the pieces being unloaded. They're made of puddled iron, pieces that look reddish-brown from the forging process. Each has holes precisely drilled for rivets. The precision is extraordinary. Pieces made miles away must fit together perfectly when assembled on site. Tolerances are measured in tenths of a millimeter, less than the thickness of a sheet of paper. Each piece is numbered and marked for its exact position in the tower. The assembly begins at the 4 foundation points. The first level of the tower, the legs, will rise from here. Each leg consists of 4 massive iron columns that angle inward as they rise. Watch how they're assembled. Workers position the first iron piece on its foundation anchor points. Heavy bolts secure it temporarily. The next piece is lifted into position using a small steam-powered crane. Workers guide it carefully. The holes in the new piece must line up perfectly with holes in the piece below. Then the rivet gangs take over. Look at this skilled, coordinated work. A rivet is heated in a portable forge until it's red hot, about 1,000 degrees Celsius. One worker grabs the hot rivet with tongs and tosses it to his partner, sometimes 15 or 20 feet through the air. The catcher intercepts it using a specialized cone-shaped tool and immediately inserts it into the aligned holes. A third worker, the holder-on, presses a heavy iron bar against one end of the rivet. The riveter uses a pneumatic hammer on the other end. The rapid pounding mushrooms the hot rivet on both ends, filling the holes completely. As the rivet cools, it contracts, pulling the iron pieces together with tremendous force. The whole process takes about a minute per rivet. The tower will eventually need 2.5 million rivets, though only about a third of these are installed on site. The rest were installed in the factory during prefabrication. Watch the legs grow. Day by day, the iron lattice framework rises. The work is dangerous. Men work high above the ground on narrow iron beams. A fall would be fatal, but safety measures exist, revolutionary for the time. Workers wear safety harnesses attached to the structure. Guardrails and movable gangways protect them. Screens catch falling tools and materials. These precautions work. Still, it's terrifying work. The wind blows constantly. Rain makes the iron slippery. Winter cold makes metal painful to touch. By December 1887, the 4 legs have risen about 50 feet. Look at the structure now. The legs aren't vertical. They lean inward at a calculated angle. As they rise, they'll eventually converge. But first, they must reach the first platform level. Watch as temporary wooden scaffolds are erected. 12 scaffolds, 30 meters high, plus 4 larger ones at 40 meters. These support the construction work until the iron framework can support itself. Large decorative arches are being assembled at ground level. These will span between the legs at the base. Look at the ironwork. Elaborate, curved, elegant. They serve no structural purpose. They're purely decorative, added to make the tower more graceful and less industrial looking. The arches are lifted into position in sections and riveted between the legs. March 1888. The legs have risen to about 180 feet. Now comes a critical test. The 4 legs must meet precisely at the first platform level. Temporary wooden scaffolding supports the platform components. Workers install the iron framework that will form the platform structure. The 4 legs arrive at the platform level. Engineers measure carefully. The alignment is nearly perfect, within millimeters. The calculations and careful constructions have worked. The first platform is complete, a large square space about 190 feet up. Visitors will eventually dine here, use facilities, enjoy views across Paris. Stand on this platform and look down. You're higher than most buildings in Paris. The view is extraordinary. But look up. The tower will rise almost twice this height again. From the first platform, the tower's shape changes. The four separate legs merge, becoming a single tower shaft. The construction continues, iron pieces lifted higher, positioned, bolted, riveted. But now everything must be lifted farther. Every worker must climb higher. The steam cranes mounted on the tower rise with it, lifting the next sections of ironwork. By August 1888, the second platform is being built at about 380 feet above ground. Again, the same process. Iron framework, horizontal beams, floor supports, wooden decking. This platform is smaller than the first but still substantial. More restaurants and viewing areas. From here, the third and final section rises, the narrowest part, tapering toward the peak. The work is now extremely difficult. Everything must be lifted nearly 400 feet. The wind is stronger at this height. Workers are exposed and vulnerable. December 1888. Winter brings harsh conditions. Look at the workers now, bundled in heavy coats, but the iron is freezing to touch. Ice forms on metalwork. Wind cuts through everything. Work slows but doesn't stop. The deadline approaches. The tower must be completed for the 1889 World's Fair opening in May. More workers are hired. Shifts are extended. Work continues even in difficult weather. March 1889. The tower is nearing completion. The third platform is finished at about 900 feet. March 31st, 1889. The final pieces are installed. The flagpole is secured at the peak. The structural work is complete. Look at what has been accomplished in just 2 years, 2 months, and 5 days. A tower of puddled iron lattice rising 300 meters into the sky. Over 18,000 individual iron pieces, 2.5 million rivets, 7,300 tons of iron, built with 150 to 300 workers at various stages. The tallest structure in the world by far, nearly twice the height of anything built before, and finished on time. But walk the streets of Paris and hear the controversy raging. 300 prominent artists, architects, and writers have signed a petition. The protest against the Tower of Monsieur Eiffel. They call it useless and monstrous, a metal asparagus, an odious column of bolted metal, a disgrace that will crush Notre Dame in the Louvre under its barbaric bulk. May 15th, 1889. The tower opens to the public as the centerpiece of the World's Fair celebrating the centenary of the French Revolution. The elevators aren't quite finished yet. Visitors must climb stairs, 1,710 steps to the top platform. Thousands climb anyway. The view from the summit is unlike anything anyone has experienced. Paris spreads below like a detailed map. On clear days, you can see for 40 miles. The elevators are completed over the following months. Look at these engineering marvels. Hydraulic systems that must travel at an angle, following the curve of the tower's legs. Each section requires different elevator designs. It's another technical achievement within the larger achievement. By the end of the World's Fair in October 1889, nearly 2 million people have visited the tower. The criticism continues, but the public has voted with their attendance. The tower was built with a 20-year permit. It would supposedly be demolished in 1909, but something changes. The tower proves useful. Radio transmission experiments use its height for antennas. Military communications adopt it. Scientific measurements are conducted from the top. This was how the Eiffel Tower was built. Not easily, not without fierce opposition, but with precision, innovation, and remarkable speed. All to build something the critics said was impossible and ugly. This was the building of the Eiffel Tower, bold, precise, and unforgettable.